Swami G.
Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Bhadram Karni Vishnunyama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhir Yajatraha Tirairangai Shuštuvagam Sastanubihi Vishema Devahi Tanyadayuhu Swastina Indro Vriddhashavaha Swastina Usha Vishwavedaha Swastinastaksho Arishtanemihi Swastino Brahaspatir Dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This empirical Jagat is nothing but a series of experiences. And these are caused because I am. I have an I notion. I exist. When I say I, our immediate thought, immediate response is whatever is contained with the Sharira. That's how we think of I. It's not wrong. We start the study by saying we are trying to find out the nature of I, and we start by analyzing that the body, mind, sense cannot be I. And yet, as we study further and further, deeper and deeper, more and more Shravanam and Mananam we do, there has to be some kind of an I notion, an ahankara. This cannot be the body, mind, sense complex, although that is what we use for all transactional purposes. I and all the non-I. But by the time you come to this stage of understanding, I cannot also be Man. Man is not I, because I is associated with an individuality. We are talking about I as everything, because Brahman is everything. Therefore, the I can neither be whatever we thought I was all this time, and then we learned Aham Brahmosmi, Aham, I. Then we also learned Brahman is not an individual. Our idea of I is an individual. Confusing enough? In between, we also bring in Ishvara. Not only Ishvara, we look at Ishvara in two perspectives. Ishvara with a given identity. I is an identity. Ishvara with no identity. Again, more confusion. What are we trying to understand? There's a statement. Ishvara is neither immanent nor transcendental. Immanent is the word used to describe what is within the system and what is accessible from within the system. And transcendental is literally the opposite of that. That which is not accessible within the system. When we look at Ishvara and arrive at the fact that everything in the Jagat, known and unknown, is nothing but Ishvara. As Jagat Karanam, then in that recognition of Ishvara, we can think of Ishvara as immanent, as part of the system. But when we understand that Ishvara is Brahman, Ekam, Advitiyam, Anirvachaniyam, Achintyam, then Ishvara is transcendental. It is not available, is not accessible within the system. And here we look at the Jagat that we know as the entire system. So how do we understand Brahman, Atma, and I? I am different from this body, mind, sense complex. But this body, mind, sense complex is non-existent without me. I need this identification to be within the system, to transact with the system. All the non-I's within the system. And yet, I am transcendental. I am not part of the system. The entire system is Ishvara, is Brahman, is what you might think of as I. But that, whatever that Vastu is nothing to do with the rest of the system. There is no other system. This is Mithya. It is there, it is not there. whatever we experience in this whole Jagat, and life as we know it is nothing but the series of experiences, one after the other. Consists of a aham vritti, an I notion, and an idam vritti, everything else, the experiences. Aham vritti, the I notion, idam vritti, the experiences, and the objects of experience. And we understand this triad. Experiencer, experienced object, and experience. When I am searching for understanding I, is this experiencer I? This experiencer is I only within the system. I am none of this triad. We saw in the previous verse, Bhokta Bhogascha Yad Bhavet. Bhokta, the experiencer. Bhogyam, the experience object. And Bhoga, the experience. Tebhyo, all away from all of these. Vilakshanam. I am not anything to they are. Yeah. I am Ekameva Advitiyam. I am Kevalam Chinmaya. I am consciousness. Even that is the wrong statement. If you go into that kind of depth, there is no I. Where is I? If what is there is only one indivisible whole, where is I? We come from this side and say, I am. For our purposes of understanding. Tebhyo vilakshana. I am none of these. Every experience, the bhokta, the knower, the seer, the thinker, everything, the karta, and the karma, the object of the karya, and the karya itself. When looked at from the perspective of the transactional world, they exist as three individual independent entities. Tebhyo vilakshana sakshi. I am not that experiencer. Brahman is not that experiencer. Brahman is something which has no experience. Transcendental. I can only identify with I because that is how I know. That's all I know. And I'm knocking out the very I. I am and I am not. So even the statement of the Shruti like Aham Brahmosmi has to be understood not as the knower, the experiencer, but as something that transcends the knower, known, knowledge triad. I exist, I am is from one point of view. Aham Brahmosmi is trying in an attempt to merge what I think I know and what Shastra tells me. And take one more step. There is only Ekameva Advitiya Brahman. Every Upanishad tries to capture this. Shankaracharya in his Nirvana Shatkam has captured it beautifully. What do I identify when I look at this from the immanent perspective? I am Manas, Buddhi, Ahankara, all the Sukmendriyas, Sukshma Sharira. I am none of them. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. Chit, pure. Again, unfortunately have to use words. Consciousness. There is nothing like pure consciousness and impure consciousness. Consciousness. Consciousness, when associated with the aham vritti, we think is the knower. You experience it. Consciousness, when associated with idam vritti, all the experiences. And consciousness associated with the objects is what we recognize as objects of experience. Kevala Chaitanyoham, Chinmayamaham. Unfortunately, like I said, you have to use the word aham. You have to understand that aham is only because in our understanding, aham is an individual. There is no individual. That is why a lot of confusion arises. Say, aham, I am a part of that. I am a spark of that. There is no I. I am the servant of whichever Ishvara I identify with. Not just a servant. I am the servant of 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 that Ishvara. There is no I. Then when you say that I go to a particular place, a Vaikuntha, a Kailasha, a heaven, I am Mukta Purusha. How? You cannot be. You're still clutching on to the identity of I. You still need an Aadhaar card. One of the discussions I had with Swami G when I decided to take sannyasa had to do with this. I said, as a sannyasi, what you're trying to understand is this concept, of the idea. All the questions will come. Who is trying to understand? And understand what? That I doesn't exist. I have no identity. I don't need an identity card. And yet, in today's world, if the Sharira has to exist, if the Sharira has to travel, if the Sharira has to be used to do Upadesha, you need one Aadhaar card. or a driving license. Makes sannyasa very difficult. You are trying in your mind to try and understand this non-individuality. And everything around is forcing that individuality. There is only consciousness. If the day you understand this, the whole world will go kaput. It will be easy or easier. World doesn't. Dvaitam remains. Dvaitam remains because without that Dvaitam, there is no Advaitam. Without Advaitam, there is no Dvaitam. This understanding is only in that one Hridaya, Buddhi, whatever you call it, which is still an individual trying to understand I'm not the individual. I am the individual only when looked at from a perspective, a point of view. But looked at from another point of view, there is no I. With this background, reread Nirvana Shatakam again. You will find a lot of things reappearing. Chit Ananda Rupam Aham. Shiva Aham. Captures everything. Shivoham. Here also you find Sada Shiva. And later you'll find in the next couple of hours later again Shivoham. What is Shivoham? One way of looking at it saying Shiva is auspiciousness despite and amidst all that is inauspicious. Shiva. There is a Sharira which is subject to birth and death. There are all the thoughts which are classified as good thoughts and bad thoughts. All of them are anitya. What is auspicious? Can be only one thing. That which never changes, that which is never born, and that which never changes, that will never disappear. And yet we have the Jagat. In this Jagat, I have the Sharira. Another Sharira, another Sharira, another Sharira. Some sentient, no, some not sentient. And where does this whole Jagat come from? Maya tatamidam sarvam. Who can say Maya? From me. By me. The whole world appeared. Yena sarvamidam tatam. Every Upanishad says things like this. Here also, the Upadesha says, Mayyeva sakalam jatam.
मय्येव सकलं जातं
मयि सर्वं प्रतिष्ठितं
सर्वं प्रतिष्ठितं
मयि सर्वं लयं याति
मयि सर्वं लयं याति
तद्ब्रह्माहमहं तद्ब्रह्मा अद्वयमहमस्मि तद्वयम् अस्म्यहम्
तद्ब्रह्माद्वयमस्म्यहम्
अस्म्यहम् itself sounds like a contradiction. Tad advayam brahma aham. Hey, wait. When you say aham, then there must be idam. How can it be advayam? That is what you have to understand. That Brahma, which is advayam, is the only existent thing. It is existence itself. Everything else is mithya. That mithya is created as though by me. Who is me? Ekameva advitya Brahman. I create the whole jagat. Again I comes. Where is I? That is why the whole jagat is as though. That is mithya. And we have to understand this mithya. We have to deal with this mithya jagat. We have to transact in this mithya jagat because we are part of that mithya. Mayyeva sakalam jatam. Everything arises from me. What is sakalam? Everything. Tat. Mayyeva sakalam jatam. When in Taittiriya Upanishad, what is the father's name? Varuna tells his son, go and find out. He asked, what is Brahman? Yato va imani bhutani jayante. From where all these arise? As though. Yena jiva yato va imani bhutani jayante. Yena jatani jivanti. It sustains everything. And into which everything reverses back. As though. This created mithya jagat, like a dream prapancham, is born out of that one advitya Brahman, which is avikara. When you say it is born out of, it is created, we immediately think that that must also undergo change. That material with which the jagat is created, material or materials, I don't know if that plural is correct, group of materials, must also undergo change. Even the classic example of clay becoming pot and pan and dish and whatever else undergoes change. So upadhana karanam. There is no change because nothing is created. Now you understand Maya? It is created, it is not created. Aghatita ghatata patiyasi Maya. Therefore, we have another example. Like the snake which is created. Where is snake creation? Like the dream creation. There is no creation, and yet we have to explain away all this. This whole Jagat, which looks and feels solid. If you stub your toe on a stone, it hurts because the stone is solid. It is really solid. Can you stub your toe on a solid rock that you've created in your dream? Yes, the fellow you in the dream can do it. Stub his toe on that rock and hurt his toe. But can you? You wake up and you find that there's no pain in your toe. The whole Jagat is insubstantial. There is no adhara for it other than you or other than Brahma. See how difficult words become? You have to use I and you because that's the way we understand it. But there is only Brahman. So all that we experience here, I the experiencer, experiencing something of an experienced object, all belong to another order of reality. This order of reality cannot happen without very difficult. That's the only way to understand it. Mayyeva sakalam jatam, mai sarvam pratishtitam, prakashena hitam. Mai sarvam layam yati. And the end of the dream, when you wake up, the whole dream goes where? Whole prapancha with all the stones, with all the feelings, thoughts, mind, everything. Tad Brahma Advayam Asmi Aham. You have to use Aham, there's no choice. There is no Aham as we understand it. No I notion. If this whole Jagat has to be created, we imbue in the creator enormous power, enormous knowledge. In fact, unlimited power, unlimited knowledge. If you want to create a plumbing system in your house, you go to a plumber who has knowledge of that plumbing system. He has the capacity to create that plumbing system. Another fellow says, I'll come and do it. What do you know about it? Oh, I'm a carpenter. You can't create this. You need that particular knowledge. But if you want to create the whole house, palace, you need all the knowledge, all the skills required for this. So you have many different people. And here we are saying there is only one Ishvara. Therefore, that Ishvara must have access to all the material. and must have all the knowledge, all the skills required. When you think of a person who is physically powerful, you imagine a person who is 6'5", full of muscles. How do you imagine Ishvara? All knowledge, all power. If you access or access Ishvara as the one who does all this, you have to give him many hands. You have to give him many feet. You have to give him many heads. Sahasra Shirasha Purushaha Sahasrakshas Sahasrapat. You have to imagine. You imagine. But how much are you getting with? Arjuna wanted to know. Ishvara said, I will help you to see. Because you cannot see it. It's infinite. So he gave him special powers to see the Virat cosmic form. So many hands, so many legs. How can you count how many hands? They go to infinite number of hands. Infinite number of legs. But even if you have billion legs, a trillion hands, it is difficult to imagine one individual creating not only the earth and all the varieties on the earth, but the solar system, the galaxies, the Milky Way, and all the other Milky Way systems, the entire cosmos. How can you imagine somebody with so many hands and legs? So, Atha says, oh, the Karthala is it. But it's also interesting. Anoraniyan ahameva tadvat. Mahanaham vishwamaham vichitram. I create this entire Vaichitriam. So many varieties, none of which have any real existence. They are superimpositions. I, Brahman, if you look at I, is unchanging, avikara. Nothing can be there. Anoraniyan ahameva tadvat. Tadvat, let's see what the Tikakara says for tadvat. Yatha guna tatha. You cannot attribute any guna. You cannot attribute any power because they'll all be limited. Whereas what you're talking about is something that creates unlimited. So it says anoraniya, smaller than the smallest. Tadvat mahanaham. I'm the biggest. In the word I only. Hum. Everywhere. Vishwamaham vichitram. If Bhagavan is creating everything, the samsara, then he must change and make me a mega samsari. If I have a backache, he must have millions of backaches. If tomorrow your mind is disturbed, all his minds are subject to being disturbed. If we have cataract in eye tomorrow, Bhagavan is liable to have millions and millions of cataract. Is that the way it is? No. Bhagavan is seen as the unchanging cause. He is not a parinama upadhana karanam, the vivarta upadhana karanam, unchanging cause, like a rope. With a rope, you can create all kinds of things, none of which is real. Anoraniyam, at the same time, Mahanaham, and then says, Vishwamaham. I'm everything. I'm neither the smallest in the smallest nor the biggest in the biggest. I am all. All that is here is Aham, Ishvara. And because now the Upadesha has come to the Uttama Purusha, the student can say Aham. He's no more a student. Where's the student? Once you've understood, where's the student? Where's the Guru? There is no student, there is no Guru. Once you've understood. But till then, everything is required. Student is required, Guru is also required. Mahanaham, Vishwamaham, Vichitram. This is what some kind of a new age artificial intelligence concept is it? That creates everything. Sometimes creates very funny things. There was somebody sent me a video of this chat GPT who created, I think the one of the Shakespearean plays. So he told chat GPT, write in your own words as part of his thesis or part of his submission to the college. And chat GPT wrote the whole thing, but before writing, I wrote one sentence. That this is not in my repertoire. And then he went on to write the whole thing. This fellow, without realizing, submitted the whole thing with all that sentence. Obviously got caught. So he was very smart. He thought he would use GPT, chat GPT. And he also was very dumb to not know what to use and what not to use. Is some kind of a new age artificial intelligence that is doing this. Puratanaham. I am Trikala Atitaha. Atitaha, a good translation is transcendental. There is no cause, no effect, no being born, no death. Aham Puratanaha. Aham Purushaha. Sarvam Purayati. Iti Purushaha. Going back to Purusha Suktam. Purusha evedagum sarvam yat kinchit yat bhutam yat chabhavyam. Therefore, Vishwam. Purushaha aham Ishaha. I am the ruler. Ishaha is ruler. A ruler who does not have a ruler. In fact, one of the words used to describe Lord Shiva is Anisha. There is no further boss. 1 But is it ruler in the sense that we understand ruler? Ishaha. Simply the presence, a necessary presence, without which presence, nothing will happen. In that sense, you think of an order. Not by giving commands to do this. And if you don't do it, you'll be punished. Simply being there. Everything happens as it should. Ishasmat bhavate Yeshotni Surya. I don't remember the word, but Chaitanya also said, because of the presence of the sun does what it needs to do, Vayu does what it needs to do. Nothing can operate without the presence of which. He doesn't have to stand there with a scepter in his hand or even a danda in his hand. There is no he. Puratanoham Purushoham Ishaha. I am that ruler. Not in the conventional sense of the word meaning ruler, but who is a necessary adjunct, not even adjunct. Who is necessary, very present and necessary. Hiranmayoham. Hiranmaya. Hiranyam is gold. Some comparison is to give. Ever shining. Ever shining Shuddha Chaitanyam. Again, I have to use the word Shuddha. Kevala Chaitanyam is better. Only consciousness. And because I'm only consciousness, everything simply by association. We create as though everything else. Create the aham vritti. We create the idam vritti. But none of them is I. I'm sorry, I am none of them. Mayyeva sakalam jatam. Mayyeva sakalam jatam, Mayi sarvam pratishthitam, Mayi sarvam layam yati, Tad brahmadvayam asmyaham, Anuraniyan ahameva tadvat, Mahanaham vishwamaham vichitram, Puratanoham purushoham ishaha. Puratanoham purushoham ishaha. Hiranmayoham Shivarupamasmi. Hiranmayoham Shivarupamasmi. Everything is, idea is the same in all of these sentences. There is only one Advaya. I have developed this idea of I am. Using that, I examine what that I is. I have made some conclusions about what that I is. And by vichara, through shravanam and mananam, I start eliminating any idam vritti, anything, any object of experience is very clearly non-I. not I. When it comes to the Sharira, we're not so sure. So you have to do some vichara. Sharira cannot be I. Or I cannot be Sharira. Sharira is I. That also you examine. Then you examine through help of Shastra. I cannot be either the Aham Vritti or the Idam Vritti. There is no I. There is no individual. There is only Ekameva Advitiya Brahman. That all power, all knowledge, which as though creates this whole Jagat, we are still in the Jagat. We still have to accept the Jagat. What a beautiful concept of Mithya. I understand that if I look at it correctly, there is no Jagat. And yet, there is Jagat. I have to deal with it. Who is the I who has to deal with it in the Jagat? I need the help of my Ishta Devata. Who is the Ishta Devata? Part of the Jagat. All the Devas, part of the Jagat. Therefore, I pray to my Ishta Devata and try and figure out. I give my Ishta Devata enormous power. I know I have limited power. And in order for him or her to exercise that power, I have to give to my Ishta Devata many hands, many legs, many eyes, many ears. That Ishta Devata has to listen to thousands and thousands and thousands of prayers, pleas. We need so many years. It is not, doesn't sound right. How many can you have? If your Ishta Devata has X number of hands and legs, I can argue with you, my Devata has X plus 1. How can you fight? No, my Devata can expand X plus 2. People like children fighting, which is what is happening. My Devata is more powerful than your Devata, all within the world, Mithya. What does Shastra itself say? Various places it says, Ishvara is represented as 4 hands. In an image that you create, very difficult to put more than 4 hands. That is, Apanipado, Aham, Apanipado, Achintya Shakti, Aham Achintya Shakti. I don't have legs and hands. And yet, I have Achintya Shakti. Imagination boggles. You examine your imagination, it will boggle. How can there be so much power? Because I associated power with muscle power. I associate ability to go from place to place with feet. Apanipado. Pashyami achakshu. I know everything that's happening. I'm all knowledge. I have no eyes. Shrunomi karna. If I have to listen to all the prayers of all the people, only the 8.5 billion people in the earth, there are minimum probably which you don't know. I have to listen to all of them. So I can have either infinite number of karna or I don't need karna. Aham vijanami vivikta rupa. I know everything. I am knowledge. Satyam jnanam. Nachasti vetta mamachit sadaham. We will look at the verse next class. We will try to finish in the next weekend. Next weekend, we will not have class because we are going to the children's camp. So next 2 weekends, we don't have a class. We will try to take the rest of it up. Not much is left in the weekend following. We will also allow 1 class or 2 classes as necessary to address any questions, etc. So please, if you have whatever we studied, any questions, doubts, etc., please send it across. We'll collect them and take 1 session only to do that. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.